Yo, it was good. It's your boy, man.
Salute, salute,
Uh,
salute. The one and only Big Dice. I'm here.
yeah. It's your boy Frankyboo, man, coming at you, man, on this marvelous Sunday, man, with another episode of Vertical Chalk, man. I got my son, man. You dig what I'm saying? My comrade, Uncle Nick was good.
Nick,
Yo,
what's up, baby?
it's popping, man. I'm a little under the weather, to be honest with you. I ain't feeling that great, but Frankie's the bro, and I feel compelled to come through, hold it down for the crown, and just talk some talk. Somebody got some feedback coming back.
Yeah.
Was it me?
Also, man, I got my fam, homie. I got the boy Big Dice, man, coming in and gracing me with his appearance. You dig? Dice was good, boy.
Hold on.
Wherever you need me at, I'm here.
And gracing me with his appearance. You dig?
Yeah. You got a double play going on, Dice. You gotta mute one of them joints.
Is that me?
Yeah, that's you.
You hear me echoing?
Yeah, you echoing.
All right, let me go out and come right back in.
All right, bet.
Drop the link in the I'm gonna go out and come right back in. I got you.
All right.
Nick, what you been up to?
Yo, so basically, I'm out here grinding, doing my Thug Dizzo, holding it down. I'm with the dogs and all that. But you had, hit me up, and a couple things came across my desk as far as, when we was talking and things, these teenagers and their behavior, the type of things they're engaging in, they're crashing out at much younger ages. And it seems to be an epidemic in volatile behavior, disrespect, a lack of remorse, and just codes and ethics that once seemed to be embedded within the youth to some capacity. You know what I'm saying? It's like a thing of the past. It's not coming back. And these kids are savages, man. You know what I mean? But I got a few joints that I wanted to break down and kind of just get your perspective, your Dice perspective. You know what I'm saying? I have my own thoughts on the situation as to why this is really happening. But I thought, we could come through with a little positivity, mix it in with that negativity, and a little gumbo pot. You know what I mean? Create some content, plug.
Talk that lingo, man. This the Nick I love, man. You know what I mean? Always got something brewing, man. A big pot of gumbo, man. Louisiana style. You know what I mean? Word, that's where we at. You heard me? You heard me?
Yeah, let me bring Dice in right now. Okay.
How y'all got me on the feedback? I'm good?
Yeah, you sound clear now, son.
Crystal clear. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Real proper style.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I guess it's definitely an honor, man. You know what I mean? I got two brothers, man. You know what I'm saying? And who's mine, whose mind and spirit, man, is akin to mine. So we cut from the same ilk, man. So yeah, let's get it, man. Let's get the people's what they may be craving for, man. And if they're not craving for it, hopefully we can open up a door in their mind and in their spirit to get them to start craving it. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yo, talk.
Nikki, baby, New York Nikki. Yo, salute, man. The ladies of I-Top. Man, salute.
Tim Lowe,
man.
I see you in the building.
Word, man. I thank y'all all, man, for coming, man. Everybody in the chat, man. I appreciate y'all pulling up. Word.
Yeah. Shout out everybody. You got New York Nikki in here. Shout out to you, girl. Tim Lowe was popping, Sean. What it is, 2 L's, ladies of TikTok. Yeah, shout out to everybody coming through, showing support and holding it down. Now, like I said, I had these clips that I came across, from a few different areas, so we could cover how should I say, the demographic of what's going on in a certain sense on a broad scale, opposed to, just pinpointing little things going on in New York or this or that or in our neighborhoods and stuff. So I'm gonna get into these clips right here.
And most hated, man. Salutes, man. Appreciate you for
RP,
pulling
I
up,
see
King.
you.
Yeah, and then we'll pop in and pop out, and we'll do our 1-2 on this right here.
Yeah, let's get it, boy. Let's get it.
Okay.
A 15-year-old boy was shot during a so-called teen takeover in downtown Chicago.
Courtney's in Streeterville with the latest and the video that was shot overnight.
John and Judy, good morning. Frustration is mounting among many in this area as the teen takeovers have started once again. Last night, in the middle of yet another, a shooting unfolding just a few hundred feet from where we are just before 9:45. The sound of those gunshots caught on camera. According to Chicago police, officers heard those gunshots and saw a large group running away. The 15-year-old boy was on the ground with a graze wound to the leg. He was taken by the Chicago Fire Department to Lurie Children's Hospital, where he was reportedly in good condition. Videos from the scene and those taken by residents and shared on social media show the chaos that unfolded last night. Hundreds of
Yo. See, now this seems to be the norm. So I think you still got some feedback, guys, going on.
Me?
Yeah. But this seems to be like the norm in Chicago right now, where you know, they're doing these I don't know what you want to call them. There's a term for it. Forget where these big groups link, a flash mob. That's what they used to call it. Like a flash mob comes together. They put out the message on social media or whatever platform they're using and stuff like that, and they all link up to, I guess, just have like a little night of chaos. You know what I'm saying? But dudes just pack in. You know, these kids is really young. That joint they was thumping sounded pretty heavy. You know what I mean? And this just seems to be what goes on. You know what I mean? And the residents and different people seem to just accept it at times. The cops, the mayors, the city council. It's just kind of baffling for me, man. What you thinking, Frankie?
Like you said, man, it's the norm, kid. You know, sadly, it's the norm. You know, and me and Dice was just speaking, man. Whereas, you know, a lot of these individuals, man, you know, they're doing it for fame, man. They're doing it for the fame or to be recognized, man. You know, and not understanding, fortunately and unfortunately, you know, the young boy was hit, but he was hit in the leg. So hopefully he made a speedy recovery. Although it's going to probably, it possibly or potentially is going to traumatize him. But, you know, fortunately, nobody was killed, you know, and a lot of these urban cities, man, you know, that's what's happening when individuals, man, when these young brothers or sisters or whatever the case may be, start firing that gun, man, especially if they're not doing it in the air, but doing it in the direction of other individuals, man. So yeah, man, Dice, what you know, what's your play on it?
The way I'm looking at it now, it seems like it's been like laid out to be an honor to do something horrific, to go to jail. And then with the kids that's coming up now, when we came up, well, unfortunately we had problems. Yeah, it was maybe one gun, like we talked about earlier. It was one shooter that was around, and that was just because in case people decided to jump if the person that was on our side might have been winning the fight. A lot of these kids today haven't grown up just fighting because it's frustration that's built up inside these children, just like we had frustration built. The reason why we had our frustration built up because we seen our parents go through, especially when the crack epidemic hit, the alcoholism, prostitution, you know, I'm just saying, like Frank said earlier, the poverty and stuff like that. Now, pay attention. The kids these days, they're getting everything they want. They're getting the expensive sneakers, the expensive clothes, the iPhones, the credit cards. Like, we didn't have these opportunities when we was kids. Parents now is giving their children allotted amounts of money on credit cards to go be adults in the street, as opposed to when we was coming up, our parents may have had a addiction to this or that, but they put the time in that I'm noticing that the parents today aren't really putting in to mold and groom their children. The streets are doing it now.
Well, see, that's what I was going to bring up. A lot of these kids, they're displaced from their fathers. You know what I'm saying? And then they start to resent the mother. You know what I mean? Because you're looking at your mom, so she can't give you what you want, but she's glorifying a certain lifestyle and a certain thing. And then that starts to slip and slide into this like mafioso gangster mentality for like a teenager. You know what I'm saying? Where you don't snitch, you're doing this, you're living by this gangster code. And it's like, yo, where's your family? Like what happened to you just enjoying life, going out shooting some hoops? Like you said, dudes might throw hands, this might happen, someone might get cut, and someone might let off a shot or something, but it wasn't these switches and 15, 16, 25 people getting shot over the summer, shooting up barbecues. Like they're behaving basically like, you know, the West Coast gangbangers in a certain sense, how they come through and just light some shit up, or the Chicago kids, like this drill music, this real gang mentality, hardcore is like really embedded in them because unfortunately, the parents are into the same stuff that they're into, in the sense of, I want to go out and run and live my life and be famous and get my likes and get my shit popping online. So you ain't really watching your kids like that. And for those that are, because I'm gonna get into this next story, sometimes the kids will latch with the parents and be volatile towards the parents. Sometimes the parents can't really parent them the way they want to with that parental guidance, because then they're gonna go to school and snitch on you. Now the cops is coming, arresting your ass. Like, the way things are set up right now is tough to be a parent, and I think it's much easier for them in a certain sense to just step back and be like, oh, you got the phone, you got the Google, you got your little teachers, you got this, you got that, you got your little card, your little cash app or whatever, leave me alone.
That's right.
I bought you your sneakers, I got you your jacket, you got all the things you want. In my mind, I'm doing it as a parent. You know what I'm saying? But you're not really putting in that time to show them how to, what's the right word? Exercise conflict resolution.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Everything doesn't result in a gunshot or a punch to the face, or, you know, you jumping some dudes, or whatever situations they may pop off. And that's what's really lacking in the community as well. Communication. Learning how to let things go. Not having such a big ego. Your ego will get you smoked in 3 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Your pride ain't edible. These, you know what I'm saying? These are things that they're really attaching and holding on to. And unfortunately, they're crashing out at a younger and younger and younger age. Like, it was rare when I was young to, you know what I'm saying, a dude's 15, 16 catching 2-3 bodies and they getting caught up, or they already got attempts and stuff like that. Not saying it didn't happen, but it wasn't like that whole crew over there, that's what they doing right now. You know what I'm saying? Dudes is more so trying to get money, get fresh, get fly, and get out this poverty. But the parents aren't in poverty. They're giving them this stuff. They just want to be in the streets. So they shooting, gang banging, killing, doing all type. They don't treat the women with respect. They thoughts, they this, they that. So they just bang them, and they don't want to raise a family. It's just a lot of convoluted stuff going on, man.
You got to think about something also. When we were coming up, the other difference with the children that's coming up now is the difference between the drugs. You got to understand, when we was coming up, it was a couple of us that you might have heard that have slid off and might have messed with some powder or et cetera, et cetera. But the majority, the whole morale of us, we was getting biz. We was smoking some good weed. As opposed to today, the opioid predicament is really what's aggravating these children also, because, pay attention, they're experimenting with drugs, I'm noticing, because right down here in the South, I'm noticing it's unfolding. There was a time when Percocets just fled the street.
Yeah.
So it seemed like they was just following the wave. But if you pay attention, Percocets is synthetic heroin. So now that they're making it so much harder to obtain Percocets, whether it's legally going through a physician or not, this is the outcome from withdrawal.
Yeah. Volatile behavior. Yeah, acting out.
Violence, and they don't have like we had, like me and Frank was talking about this earlier. We had dudes in the neighborhood that we admired, we respected, but we also had a certain fear of, because we knew of things that they'd done. So if they took the time to step to us and say, yo, move off the block, or next time I catch you out here, so that kind of sat in our minds, as opposed to now, the older guys, not all of them, but I noticed a bunch of the older guys are now trying to emulate the younger guys because of the finances.
And that would never work, because the young dudes is always going to be like, the fuck out of here, old head. You trying to be like me.
Without a question.
My way. If you jacket my style, I'm not following you, you following me. So that's already ass backwards right there. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely agree with what you said about, you know, understanding that there's ramifications in this vicinity if you take it a little too far.
And not only that, it takes away from the ordinance, man, of the universe, man. You dig? Like, you know, we only go backwards to look at things in a retrospect or in hindsight in order to do better. So if a young dude don't respect the elder head, you dig, but see an elder head giving them more respect or more appreciation or more homage, to them, that's like, yo, what the fuck? That gives them an opening to be disrespectful, because nigga, you older than me and you ain't got it together. You dig? Right. You following me. You trying to follow my lead. Like, I'm the leader. So
you jumping in my car.
You jumping in my car with me. Exactly. So I should be, if anything, I should be trying to jump in. That's what we did. When we came up, we was trying to jump in the older niggas' cars, the older bros' car. And they was the ones that was like, yo, get out, get your young ass off the corner. You know,
That's
me and
right.
Dice again, we were speaking earlier about, you know, there's a process that has to be gone, that a person has to go through. And the conversation earlier between me and the bro is that even though the older heads that we was looking up to or trying to emulate, we were still raised by a village, so to speak,
That's
of
right.
dudes who were doing what they were doing, but they still was like, yo, get your little ass off the corner. Yo, what time is it, man? You ain't got no schoolwork to do. Yo, get the, you know what I mean? And literally, man, kicking us in our asses. Like, yo, I ain't gonna
Beating
tell you
us for
again.
cutting
You
school.
dig? And but another thing that we had is we had the gods and the earths
That's right.
outside of what we had in our family structure. You dig, prior to the pandemic or the crack epidemic. You did. We had family members that was telling us, yo, what are you doing? Yo, get your ass in here before them street lights come on and so forth and so on.
That's
Um,
right.
these little dudes don't have that. And you know, and again, I go from I think it's Gucci Mane, you know, and he said that in one of his joints. He was like, yo, what the fuck am I looking up at these OGs for when all these niggas is broke?
Well, see
They
that.
broke, and when they broke, they're not just broke, and I don't think he meant just financially, but
Mentally.
mentally and morally. Physically, they're broke. Fuck can you tell me that I want to hear that doesn't show me the how I should be representing myself as a man?
That's right.
You dig? So yeah, you know, if you ain't got nothing to offer them, and again, why I go with these dudes thinking you OGs, you big homies, yo, you big goofies, you old goofies. Because the young bros ain't respecting you.
That's right.
They disrespecting you. You dig? And you ain't got nothing to combat that. You can't even counteract that because a lot of you dudes that think you ain't even on a high school level of reading.
Mm.
And whenever you did go to prison, you wanted to, you know, continue in the lifestyle of being the it man as opposed to learning it, man.
That's right.
You dig? You didn't want to learn it, and you ain't even come out of there with your GED. You spent 10 years in prison and you ain't got a GED.
And that's the crazy part. A cat that can't even solve a quadratic equation is going to tell you to go do
Anything.
something to get you 25 to life.
Anything.
You know what I'm
Facts.
saying? It's like, yo, dogs, you know what I mean? You can't even do the simplest arithmetics and different things, but you're going to tell me the career path I'm supposed to be on. But these
Word.
kids, like I said, because they're disconnected from their fathers, they resent their mothers, they idolize the streets. Sometimes, you know, they're looking for something and they get mixed in with these groups and then they take it just, you know, to exalted levels. And right now it's all about the clout, putting it out there so you can get this little bit of fame. And like you said earlier, it's like a stripe. It's like a badge of honor now. Yeah, they saw me light it up online, and this dude, K Flock or whatever, he goes live in an outfit, expensive outfit. It's a recognizable outfit, whatever he was wearing. They ain't walking up there and they got you on like it's like insanity. Like they don't even think. It's like it's almost like it's a video game to them.
Yo, first, I mean, once again, man, ladies of our top, man, salute, man. Niggy baby, salute.
Cassandra,
Lil
Angie, I see
Tim
you.
Low, man, you know, Angie, salute. You know, Cassandra Levy, salute. You dig, man? Everybody, man, who is taking the time out of their Sunday, man, to, you know what I'm saying, you know, pay homage, man, and to, join the chat, man. Yo, man, continue, man. Lend your words, man, because words are power, man. You speak, we speak back. So yeah,
Right.
send your comments, man. Let's keep this interaction going because this is what we need, not just for us, because it's therapeutic for me. You dig? But it's also a way to give back to the communities that, you know, people like me have done a disservice to in the past. So, you know, something that we can say or something that we may say or words that you may put in the chat may affect somebody, man, in a positive way, or may pull somebody in a negative situation outside of that equation because it gives them that light, that aha moment to say, you know what? And I ain't rocking with you no more. And
That's
they don't
right.
even have to disclose where they got that aha moment for or that light going on, but it was in the chat. It was in Vertical Chalk. It was in, you dig what I'm saying, the Dice Chronicles. You know what I mean? It was in Word to the Streets. You dig? So yeah, man, let's make this thing cohesive, man, and let's get to it, man. You heard? Salutes, man. Let's get back to it.
Yeah. Shout out to all the ladies in there. You know what I'm saying? Everybody giving shout outs and, you know, just showing love coming through and, you know, just supporting straight up and down. It's a community. You know what I'm saying? We building something. But Yeah, like you were saying, it's just a lot of disconnect within the community and people not financially being stable, not following the old school principles, wanting to rewrite the manuscript, rewrite the rules, cut corners, do things a different way, and not keep it the way it's supposed to be, vertical. You know what I mean? And
Facts.
unfortunately, these kids, they look at you like, the fuck you gonna tell me? Like you said, they don't, they over here disrespecting their parents because they could get away with it through the school system. You know what I'm saying? They disrespecting the people at school. They disrespect the teachers. I know somebody that's a teacher.
Let's hit that for a second, Nick. Please. You dig? When we came up, and I'm gonna leave this, not to say that you may not have felt this as well, but I know me and Dice, there was no such thing as disrespecting your mother flipping parents.
Oh, hell
That's
no.
a
Parents had
fact.
a way of saying straight up and down, boy, I brought you in this world, I'll take you out
out.
of it.
Right out of here.
What's happening now, you dig, and let's just put it where it is at, you dig? So for the parents that are listening, hopefully, this is just constructive criticism. Maybe they should take the initiative to stop trying to be friends
With their
with
children.
their kids and trying to be homegirls and homeboys with their kids as opposed to being parents.
I
because
tell
at
people
the
that
end
all
of
the time, Frankie.
at the-
You get one mother, one father in life. You're gonna have
Absolutely.
a ton of friends.
That's
You
right.
don't be your kids' friends. Be
yeah,
friends.
you
with
dig.
your
You gotta have
parents.
that. You gotta have that border that yo, that's my mother, that's my father. When I came up, man, listen, man, my mom and my pops can give me a look that let me know, shut down.
That's a fact.
Whatever I was doing, if we was in a doctor's office and I'm rambling or doing whatever, they looked at me. They ain't had to say nothing. And if it was something from my mother, she was like, don't let me tell you, pops. Automatically cease the fire. Cease the fire.
Yeah.
dig?
But you got to
I knew-
understand now, too.
Go ahead.
You said something that was real important, too, earlier. A lot of these children, see, we had the same thing. A lot of these kids today are actually implicating you. I'm going to call the police on you. We had the same thing. We could have picked the phone up, or we could have ran out the crib and went to the precinct because we had friends that were going through dire abuse, as opposed to people just getting in touch with the police because parents are parenting. Like Frank said, we had our parents, that was the fear of God.
Facts.
As opposed to today, like you said, if they was paying more attention to punishing their children or correcting their children when they're doing something wrong. Because I notice now, kids can get caught cutting school. Their parents will take them to the mother, take them right to the mall and get them a pair of sneakers, get them something to eat, and say, well, you know what, you shouldn't do that again. And it's took like a total joke. Back in the days, if you cut school, our parents came and whipped us out in front of the whole class.
Facts.
This is facts, especially at PS 167. You got whipped out in front of your class, or Miss Harper would give your parent the whole.
Oh man, this nigga said Miss Harper.
This is a fact. My mom's, you know how many
say
times
that.
Miss Harper gave my mom's her office
Yeah,
and just closed the door. I'm hollering for the fear of life.
yeah.
And they never
Talk
ever
it.
intervene with that, as opposed to today, children are convincing and manipulating their guidance counselors to open cases. Now, see, this is what kids don't pay attention to. When you open a can of worms, they're going to come and take you out of that home.
Absolutely.
That's what they don't pay attention to.
Well, that's the other thing where these guidance counselors, these teachers, it's a whole different agenda now of indoctrinating these kids where they could do transgender stuff and not tell your kids that, not tell the parents that they're giving them hormone pills and puberty blockers, and your kids are going to school doing all these things, and they've taken the liberty to be the parents now. And if your parent does this or your mother doesn't agree with that, let me know. So they start to gas these kids up, like these kids think, oh, word, and now they're going and running around.
Basically, to sum it up, they're giving the kids more power than than the parents.
Exactly.
Whereas now, your mother and your father, though she birthed you out of her womb, she's not your mother. I'm your mother. The government is saying,
That's
I'm
right.
your mother. I'm your daddy.
I'm your
surrogate what I say
parent.
you do. Yeah, I'm your surrogate parents that's telling you this is the power that I'm giving you. If you don't like the fact that even though you was wrong, you call me. You call the police, and the police is gonna come get your mother and father, and we're gonna discipline them because I don't want you to listen to them. I want you to listen to me.
And unfortunately, these kids are vindictive. They have bad thoughts. They've got a lot of anger inside of them, and they like to flex their power. And they get a certain, how should I say, a little bit of a rush. You know what I mean?
But you know the crazy shit.
Go ahead.
You know what's crazy, Nick, with that, because Dice said something earlier, man. The difference between the fear of a being, which is the human being, and the fear of God, man, that's some awesome fear. Because in our time, our mothers, our pops say, yo, you know what? They're gonna pass you the phone. Call the police. And when the police get there, they're gonna whip your ass in front of the police and tell the police, that's my child.
That's right.
You dig? So, nigga, ain't no fear of you and what the fuck. Matter of fact, if you're gonna put the cuffs on me, and at that time we had officers, generational officers of that time that understood because they whipped their children's ass.
That's right.
So they came to the door, they seen what happened, they may have asked a question or two, and got the response that they got from our mothers and fathers, and they was out of there.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want the flack that our mothers and fathers were gonna give them, whether it's verbally or them telling you, listen, I'll whip your ass too.
That's right.
Yeah, straight
if
up.
You're gonna tell me how to govern my children, I'll whip your ass too. So you ain't gonna be taking me to jail for whipping my kid's ass. You're gonna be taking me to jail for whipping my kid's ass and your ass, or at least trying to whip your ass.
There you go.
So that right then and there instilled in a kid that was looking like, oh shit, my motherfucking moms and pops is on it. You dig? So
as opposed to today.
As opposed to saying, yo, damn, you scared of the police.
That's right.
You dig? You scared, so I could keep calling the police, or once I say I call the police, you gonna shut down, mom. Shut down, dad.
Well, the thing is too now, a lot of these parents are successful. They have good jobs. They have things going on. You get me locked up for 2-3 days, I'm losing my job, possibly my pension, my 401k, the car notes, the distance. So the parents start to feel like they're trapped in a little torture chamber or something like that, and they kind of just let the kids rock out. And as long as I'm not getting too much feedback that is off the hook, let him do what he does. You know what I'm saying?
You know what?
That's how
that was the difference.
They need to give these kids up for adoption then.
But
nah,
you know what
the difference is
the difference. Go ahead, bro.
Did the same. Let me explain it to you. See, like you got to instill this fear of respect or fear, because our parents was going through the same thing. My mother was an investment broker for Saks Fifth Avenue. If she missed a day of work, somebody was gonna get hurt, my dude. This is what I knew. Somebody, my father couldn't stop this. My grandparents couldn't stop this. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
When we was coming up, the whole house beat us.
Hey man, listen, not only just the whole house, but Miss McIntosh, the neighbor down the block. Hey, New York Nikki, you absolutely right. We went to schools, but guess what? They had the authority to put the paddle to our asses.
That's a fact.
Oh, Catholic school, most definitely.
Catholic schools, 600 schools, so forth and so on. Yo, listen, we went to school
Barbara
at
used
the
to
time.
come with the ruler like this, Frankie.
Okay.
The ruler was stupid long.
There we go.
And everybody put their hands out or turn around, depending on what
you around and your ass got hit.
And straight up.
Yeah, they made us hold air too. But you got to understand,
man.
the children, the teachers we had back then were real parents. No offense to the parents today. Parents are letting technology raise their children now as opposed to them.
Talk about it. About it.
That's where you see all these YouTube channels, because I'm on the train all day. I'm looking at the parents and the kids. The kids, they're watching whatever, Miko on YouTube, watching this, playing this video game.
I know that's right.
Over there on the phone, doing their thing, laughing and joking. And I see him with headphones on, and the kid over there doing, I'm just like, but you see from everybody now. Everybody's head is in the phone and disconnected and looking.
New York Nikki says, by the time the parents got called, by the time our parents got called, it was already too late.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It was already too late. You dig? So, you was just hoping that you didn't get an ass whipping by the next person. You dig? We came from an era where, when I started the next grade or whatever the case may be, my mom's words, may she rest in peace, man. God rest her soul, you heard? She told the teacher, she came and she said, yo, the first thing, hey, Miss Lady, Miss Lee, Miss Harper, whoever it was, yo, you got kids?
That's right.
They responded yes or no. She said, okay, well, do me a favor. Do you discipline your kid? And she said, yes, I do. And on occasions, I whip my kid's ass.
That's right.
She said, okay, if my child get out of line, then you do the same thing that you would do to your kid, just don't do it. You dig? So and she said this in front of the whole class, King. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, you know, this era is now don't put your hands on my kid. And I can understand it because a lot of these individuals that are teachers are supposed to be guidance counselors or governors, they don't even know how to render discipline and keep it in the bracket
That's
of
right.
this is coming from love. This ain't coming because I want to do it to you. This is coming from
I
the fact
have to
that you
do this
did
to you.
something that warrants this happening for you
That's right.
or to you. You dig what I'm saying? So it was
Well, but there
different.
was a more conservative perspective back then. People did things a certain way. Now you have this very liberal, extreme, progressive way of doing things, whether it's with government, dudes and women's bathrooms, dudes and women's sports, this going on. It's a whole gambit of things, but this progressive mind state has taken over the Department of Education, where you got all these things in the classroom. They're teaching them besides how to read and write, you know what I'm saying, and do math, because
Right.
they're in the bottom of the barrel when it comes to test scores and all types of stuff compared to the rest of the world. So it's this it's this flip of a switch where it's like, no, do you? This isn't bad, but let us have your kids. We'll guide them. And after a few decades of this, you start to see what the damage is right now. You know what I'm saying? We need to go back to a more conservative, normal perspective on how to raise kids, discipline people, and keep the law and order.
Well, in order for that to happen, man, you know, those of us as parents, man, you dig, have to take that power back. You dig what I'm saying? And stop being afraid of the establishments, man, that, you know what I'm saying, has no true, you know, love for you or your kids. Man, you know, yo, get that like, get them like button, get that like
Yo,
button up,
shout out
man.
to
You know what I mean?
Nikki,
It
man.
definitely mean,
She
yeah,
said
man,
the
share the content,
embarrassment.
man.
She said the
Yeah,
embarrassment was worse than the ass whooping. That's a fact. Because I remember my mom
absolutely.
used to come in
Whole
there screaming
facts.
and yelling at me, and the whole class be looking
Now
at
you
you
heard the
and
word
be
you just
like,
said, Nick? Embarrassment.
ooh. You be like, yo.
You hear what you
Yeah,
just said? A lot of these parents today are afraid of embarrassment. When we was coming up, if shit got too
yeah,
serious, I remember my mom's getting on the phone calling other people that she felt as though I had a somewhat of a respect for and putting me on the phone with them. I remember friends, my mother's friends and family members and certain things. I remember going, my mother having to go and my pops having to go talk to cousins and so forth. Like, yo, you know, your mom's is like you break, like I didn't have people tell me, yo, you breaking your mom's heart. Like they ain't raised you
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
you understand what I'm saying
Facts.
to you? That is, it's like Frank said, like people are talking about what you don't want you to do to their children. It takes a village to raise a child, especially if you need some
Yeah,
help with your
Yeah.
yeah.
character.
Yeah, you know, and not being afraid. See, again, you know, see our people, coming up in our generation, man, you know, and I say this lightly, you know, our family came from all of the embarrassment, all of the negative components.
Incest,
You
sexual
dig
abuse,
of being
rock,
attached to,
everything.
you know, their mothers and their grandmothers already being attached to being humiliated and degraded through slavery. You dig? So we didn't our mothers and fathers of the era of 1970 and beyond.
That's right.
You know, we didn't suffer that fact of being embarrassed because how could you embarrass us more than what slavery had already did to us and my grandmothers and my great grandmothers and grandfathers?
That's
So
right.
that was something that they couldn't threaten us with. They couldn't. That didn't mean nothing to my mother or my father or my grandmothers
Not
or
at
my
all.
grandfathers because they came from a place of the utmost embarrassment.
That's
You
right.
dig? They came from an era of the utmost embarrassment and ridicule and persecutions. You heard? So that was something that was out of the context of things for them.
That's right.
You dig? Their thing was more on how do I lift up my children, the posterity, into learning what I didn't learn or couldn't learn, or was whipped or beaten or didn't even have the privilege to learn, which was simple arithmetic and reading.
That's
Now
right.
that those availabilities were existing through the efforts of the Rosa Parks and the Sojourner Truths and the Booker T. Washingtons and the Mega Evans and the Malcolm X's and the Martin Luthers. You dig what I'm saying? And so many other of our black activists and black leaders of those times and before those times who now, as individuals of color, we squander everything that they have asked for
That's
by
right.
giving up, and by settling, and by allowing the power or the authority that we have to continue to be the strong black men and women, the kings and queens that we are, we relinquish it or have relinquished it.
That's right.
Well, that will lead right into this story right here, Frankie. Let's pick it
Well,
up.
let's get to it.
Let's go.
Well, 3 teenage girls are in custody tonight after police say they plan to kill their own mother. And they say that it's all because their mom turned off the Wi-Fi. It happened overnight on Barker's Crossing near Barker Cypress in northwest Harris County. That's where we find Fox 26's Jade Fleury on this disturbing story. Jade.
Well, fortunately, the Harris County Sheriff's Office says that the teen's mom was not seriously injured after her own daughters tried to stab her with knives. And we spoke with some nearby neighbors who tell us that disturbances happen frequently at the family home.
They're known for that in this neighborhood. There's always cops around that house.
A family dispute turned violent. The Harris County Sheriff's Office says a mother was assaulted by her own teenage daughters for turning off the Wi-Fi. Authorities.
Amen. Hey, yo, 05 voter movement, man. You dig China Brim,
Salute.
Community, man. You dig Harlem Legend, man. Salute, man. Salute to the 05 voter movement, man. You heard? Thanks for checking in, man. King Craigo, 2 L's up, beloved, man. Yo, share it, man. You know, introduce other people to it. This is Vertical Talk, man. I'm here with the brother Uncle Nick and Big Dice, man, and we getting into it, man. We chopping it up, man. We dissecting the ingredients of society, man, and the environment, man. You heard?
Yo, shout out to Dark, man. I see him in here. The Session TV was popping.
Big Dark, man.
Salute.
Dark, man. You salute, King. You already know, man. You know my heart belongs to you, kid. You already know the sentiments, homie.
Yeah, imagine that, man. Going to your sibling and saying, I'm thinking about killing mom. And they like,
Yeah,
word. And then they like, then you go to the other sibling and they like, word. And they like,
then,
yo, let's get it popping.
And listen, but you know what's crazy, bro? And then you act, and then just let one of the siblings ask you, for what? And then the other sibling responds because she cut off the Wi-Fi. What kind of do you understand that
That's
picture?
something deep rooted.
You got one sibling going to another saying, "Yo, I'm ready to kill mom," and then you got the other sibling going to the other sibling, or the first sibling going to both of the siblings saying, "Yo, I'm ready to kill mom," and then one of the siblings, if not both, say, "Why? For what?" And they say, "Because, man, she cut off the Wi-Fi," and they all agree to it. What the flip is going on, King? And another thing I want to, guy, you showing that is look at the house. Look at the house that their mother had provided for them to live in. That ain't just no one-room. That ain't what we grew up in. That ain't what we grew up in. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, man, bro, like it just shows
why it's not like the Wi-Fi was turned off because she ain't pay it. Or I mean, because she couldn't pay it. She told them to turn the Wi-Fi off. That's the way the wording sounded to me, because they probably was on punishment, or you know what I'm saying? Something like that, maybe. And they overreacted and want to kill.
You heard what you just said? Because she probably punished them.
Yeah, that was
because a lot of these parents today, instead of checking their children when they're wrong, they're gratifying it with reward. And then when they get tired of it and say what they're not going to do, this is what happens.
Or maybe, or again, the other avenue of that, maybe they started too late in trying to discipline. Maybe they spoiled them so much coming up into them having whatever they wanted, as opposed to rearing them in a way that was equal. There's no love without hate. I've said this before. There's no good without bad. There's no up without down. As it is above, so it is below. So if you're not dispersing the proper, you know what I'm saying, a level of both reward and discipline, one is going to go out of whack.
Well, the social media, I was watching Congress this week, and there was a whistleblower from Facebook, and she wrote a book about the whole scenario. She used to work there, and they target these kids. They find algorithms and ways to get these children addicted from Instagram. Like, it was a thing that if a girl deletes a selfie, 13, 14-year-old girl, that means that you should sell her a beauty product. So now she's getting flooded with beauty products because they know self-esteem's down and she might not feel good. You know what I'm saying? So with that happening, now she's doing that, and now oh, give her a little bump in the algorithm, she'll get a few more likes. And now all of a sudden, there's this whole dopamine, this whole psychosis that they get into. And it's almost like fucking being a crack addict for fucking YouTube or
And
social media.
let's not forget the fact that it's a diabolical scheme and plot by the powers that be that
That's right.
have 15, 20, or 100 people sitting around, computers paying attention to this.
That's right.
You dig? And knowing when to tap in to these insecurities that our young sisters may have or young brothers may have, and you say inciting it.
And
You
it's not
dig?
only the insecurities, Frankie. The other thing she was saying, the violence and the negativity. So
Absolutely.
if a kid looks at Chief Keef or some Chicago, now they getting flooded with that stuff. And they might have not
Absolutely.
even been looking for all that. They might have just been one artist in a song. They homie told them to listen to or something. All right, I'm gonna listen to it. But now
And that's true, 'cause they do that on YouTube too.
So now you got all these guns in your face, all this influence, or it's just 24 hours now. It don't
Now,
stop.
without a question.
Like back in the
And,
day,
you know,
even your CD player would skip, your tape would pop. The party had to stop at some point. You
had
know,
to stop at some point.
The
You
party
had
don't
to
stop.
start over. You had to start over, man. You had to decompress.
Yes,
You
son.
dig? And this is what vertical talk is. This is what the brothers like, you know, the word to the streets, you know, and a lot going on. And you know what I'm saying? And others, the big dice. You dig what I'm saying? The Chronicles. You dig what I'm saying? And the sisters that are having these platforms and being able to give, you know, some kind of, you know, not only conducive but productive content.
That's right.
That says that, yo, listen, check this out, man. Like I tell them, man, you dig? When it comes to an urban city kid, be it New York, Chicago, North Carolina, DC, whatever, a Harvard or Yale kind of individual, unless they came from the same muck and mire of individuals like us, can't tell them shit.
That's a fact.
They can't tell them nothing. It's
Unless
not going
they
to
got
resonate.
a Bugatti, a fat Rolex, Kim Kardashian looking chick on the side, and they on a yacht posting on Instagram. Then they'll listen to them. But if
even
you
to
just
that,
walking up on some suit and tie, like, hey kids, listen here, Mr. Rogers told me, fuck out of here.
but even that has its limits, and let me tell you why. Because the average urban city kid that had the minds like us, and a lot of them do even more than us in some degrees.
More intelligent now.
They're gonna look at you like you still a Vic. You might have Bugatti, you might have that motherfucking Audemars, that, you know what I'm saying, that Frank Mueller on, but and you may have come from that situation, but it doesn't resonate off of you. It doesn't emanate. My bad, wrong word. It doesn't emanate off of you. So guess what? I don't feel you. So now guess what? I don't have a respect, nor at least a small amount of fear that says that, yo, you know that lifestyle. So let me see. Do your canine come out of your gums? Will you bite me the way that I'm ready to bite you?
That's
Can
right.
you counteract how I'm going to come at you to take what you got? Because I've already realized that, guess what? You ain't really from where I'm from.
That's right.
You may have came from where I'm from, but you didn't
wasn't there.
endure. You didn't endure what I've endured. So you still a Vic. And this is what a lot of individuals miss. You dig?
Right.
A lot of places that I've been, whether it was in prison or outside of prison in just different urban areas, you know what they said? They said, yo, Playboy, yo, me and my team, we was watching you and your team. And the only reason certain things may not have transpired or took place is because we knew that you was a formidable foe.
That's talk.
You dig? We knew that y'all dudes was willing to go the same length, if not further. So guess what? Let's get this bread. Let's create a situation where you got this time, we got this time, just like in prison. You got this amount of slot time, we got this amount of slot time. We all live in a house, and we go against whatever may try to come into this house and try to take over.
Talk.
Well, the thing for me is that it's definitely a different situation in the sense of how they're influenced. Like back in the days, I knew nothing about Wall Street, none of that stuff. You talk to these kids nowadays, they follow these little rich white guys online that do crypto, they do scamming, that crack cards. This is where they're learning this shit from.
Absolutely.
They're learning it from these guys that you might look at them as a Vic, but they vicking other people. to get
No,
what
right.
they got. It's a different
absolutely.
type of hustle now. So they don't got to respect your gangster no more, but they'll respect your thievery
Yeah,
and how you can crack this
absolutely.
and get that and get to this and get to this bag.
But
So
this is where it goes wrong.
That's where it
yeah,
go wrong.
You're absolutely right. This is where it goes wrong. That because them same dudes that are paying attention to these little dudes that know the crypto, these same individuals that you're talking about that know the stock market, whatever, what they do is they turn around. They get the gift of gab from these kind of individuals to learn their ways. Then they come around and guess what they do on
they're
YouTube?
scamming everybody.
No. As well, they're showing what they have profited or made.
Yeah,
That's right.
You dig? So now the goons that have it or may not have the intellectual or may not have the comprehensive level,
Paying attention to that.
they're paying attention, and they know that. Guess what? You ain't this dude. You over here. You're promoting 100 bands. You're promoting this new presidential you got on your. But you ain't built like that. You ain't built the whole that. And the
That's right.
individuals that you may have around you
That's
are
right.
built to protect you from that
Well,
or
no,
protect you from me.
This is the norm nowadays. They're robbing athletes. They're robbing everybody. Everybody got their shit insured. Everybody's getting hit. People are rebuying shit, coming back. The money's booming. This is like a part of the game now, just like getting doxxed and all these other things. So it's definitely a different perspective.
Nah, it's a
from what they're
difference. You know,
looking at
Nick,
nowadays.
it's a small difference, bro.
Like how we were talking about with the snitches. The snitches isn't even looked at as nothing like that no more. If you got robbed or smacked around or you had to buy some shit 3 times because you can't hold it down once, people don't even care. They just care about how many likes you got right now, or if I can make a comment and get some followers. It's twisted. Their mentality.
No, you know what? You know why I beg to differ? It appears like that on YouTube. Matter of fact, it appears like that in the world. But to the significant group of us that really stand on a morale, that's where it counts. See, that's the best part about it, being able to understand who you are as a person as opposed to who they want to be.
Well, no, the thing is that they're teenagers, so they haven't really
it's adults
none of that out.
But we would, but bro,
things,
but listen, homie, we was teenagers. We were teenagers, and where I was going to say or to beg to differ respectfully is that, yo, bro.
What I'm saying is we're not talking about an adult mentality in that sense. This is a teenage mentality that I'm reflecting off within them looking at social media, being influenced, these things happening and all that going on. With a more adult mentality, 28, 30, 32, 35, you're going to peep it and see it much differently. But these kids,
That's right.
But for the okie doke.
You're absolutely right. But even we did. You dig the Dysons, the myself. Even we did to some degree. We were just able to be above a degree of higher education because of that village that I said earlier. We had the gods and earths. We had the, the Israelites on the corners. So we were hearing things that were enlightening us. We were compartmentalizing. We probably wasn't going or agreeing with it at the time or being able to even comprehend it at that time. But it existed and we heard it. And that was enough. What I was going to go to earlier was the fact that when I said that, even back then, come on, the rappers, the ball players, they was getting robbed in. I'm responsible for hitting a couple of them. You dig what I'm saying? More than a couple of them. You dig what I'm saying? So,
allegedly.
Shout out to Stephon Marbury, allegedly.
You dig, whoever's, there's whoever's. You dig what I'm saying? Shout out to my niggas from Albany Projects, man.
That's a fact.
You dig what I'm saying? The Ring Dogs.
You know.
You dig what I'm saying? Then you know what I'm saying? Yeah, them dudes, man. But to understand this is to say this, man. When individuals like even the brothers that are now coming home from prisons, good men, solid men, I ain't even calling them names, man. You know. Period. You dig? When dudes was robbing these dudes, or when we were robbing these dudes or doing that in the 31st, dudes knew they had a better sense than to come back looking for something.
That's a fact.
You dig? Or without, because they knew that, yo, boy, those dudes are a different breed. You dig? And I'm not cut from their cloth. So guess what? That's okay. I go buy another one and stay. Lord, that, So we have to understand the dynamics that existed and the differentialities of here and now, where a lot of these dudes, they coming up and they doing what they doing. We may have done the things that we did back then. This is not, let me say this, not to glamorize or glorify. But even when we got caught in some of these same dudes that we may have caught bad or down bad, when we went to prison, we knew what it was.
That's a fact.
Nigga, and some of these dudes was in prison at the same time we was. Yo, boy, what it is? Yo, boy, it ain't nothing. And guess what? Maybe you try to rock me to sleep. I ain't slow. I ain't no. What it is, boy. So we knew that it was a potential. We knew that we came in a spot and you was there before me. Guess what? The odds was against me.
That's
I'm
right.
just getting there to a degree. I might be coming into a block that you already there. I might be coming on a block in Baltimore, in DC, in Texas, in Cal that you already on. I don't know you there. So you got the crowd. But
That's
guess
right.
what? What you do know is, yo, whoa, 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 whoa. If I don't go at this boy right, or I
It's
don't
over.
get him on the first, it's going to be over.
That's
So
right.
do I want this kind of
Can't miss.
dilemma? You dig? And now again, it goes back to what Dice said earlier. The fear of God or the fear of knowing your opponent is a formidable opponent. So either one or two things are going to happen with you Lions. I'm going to leave you alone and we're going to respectfully do what we do.
That's right.
We're going to piss on the same tree and regulate the same herd, or we're going to clash. One of us is going to die, or one of us is going to be mortally wounded, and we're going to go off to die in the bushes.
That's a fact.
Go to another place and try to reestablish what it is that we were trying to do where we were just at. But it's going to be that level of respect. It's going to be that level of understanding. It's going to be that level of enlightenment that we know, yo, you know what? That's going to be a Pyrrhic victory. I'm going to lose a lot. He going to lose a lot. So you know what? Let me go over
Allow
here.
that and get some money.
You dig? So yeah, bro, you know, with the here and now, bro, and I say this to the young brothers and sisters listening, or to the chat who have sons and daughters, nieces and nephews. Be mindful, man. And if there's a way that I believe that you will succeed, and don't get it twisted, life itself is a gamble. Nobody knows when Allah is going to call us. Allah can call us at 2 years old. Allah can call us at 102 years old.
That's right.
But in between that dash mark of when you're born and when you ultimately go to your grave, try to do everything that you can do as an individual,
That's right.
consciously, to live as long as you can live and be as productive as you can be. A lot of us didn't have those choices because we weren't, not to say that we weren't given them, we weren't enlightened to them, and enlightened by individuals who had lived within those moments and truly went through the hardships. I said something to Dice earlier. My redemption right now, my black redemption, which means brotherly love aligns conscious kindred spirits for men and women, is because of my red rage. And that red rage is equated to the life that I lived as before I was even a gang member, just in the streets of Brooklyn, New York. You dig? So the culmination of things, the succession of lessons that I lived allows me to give the conveyance, the dialogue, the words that I'm saying now, hoping to give it to individuals on the same age as me that's still trying to live vicariously through these young dudes,
That's right.
or the young dudes who are looking at these videos, or who have had uncles or aunts or individuals in the street that they think they want to imitate or emulate. Listen, hopefully you will. Hopefully you're able to go through the same situation that I went through in the last 16 years. But it's been a whole longer stretch, homie. I
That's a
done
fact.
did bids up and down 95, homie. I done carried a torch for individuals who weren't even able, who carried a crazy torch in the street. They were the gully man in the streets. They were the bad man in the streets. They were the gun busters and the head busters in the streets that came to prison and was softer than cottonelle tissue. Some of them never made it out of it.
Mm.
And who knows, maybe this won't be your walk as a young brother listening to Vertical Talk right now. I pray that it isn't. I pray
That's
that you
right.
can get the lesson earlier than I got the lesson. But what I know without a question unequivocally is that God blessed me in a way that many aren't. And I
Mm.
believe everybody has blessings. I just know that the decree that Allah has made may not have you
That's right.
being able to sustain the things in life that I sustained and many others that are now being released back into these streets. May God bless them, protect them, and guide them to be as fruitful and to be an instrument to those that we have been a disservice to.
That's right.
Yo, Frankie, I gotta step to the side in a second. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, that's what it is, boy. But yeah, we was here, man, and then hopefully, man, we did what we were supposed to do in this allotted amount of time. You heard? Like this ain't the end, because this is a continuation.
Oh
This
no,
is a
it's just the
continuing
beginning, man.
thing.
Grown folks
It's the
conversation.
beginning. Yeah, this is grown folk shit. You dig? And it's meant for, you know what I'm saying, those of us who have, you know, a open mind, an open heart that's receptive to knowing and understand. Because the first thing that I do is I'm able to hold myself accountable for my wrongs. You dig? And a lot of individuals aren't. You dig? We too caught up into listening to respond as opposed to listening to hear, or listening
Right.
to take into
Yeah.
consideration that I may be wrong. You dig? And so, like I say, man, you know, there's nothing on this earth, man, you know, that fears me more than Allah. You dig?
Oh,
Have I been scared at times? Without a question. You dig? But
that's a
that
fact.
same fear that I had was a fear that made me that much more attentive to my surroundings and my environments, and prepared to do whatever I had to do to get to where I'm at right now. And that's what y'all, you dig, in the chats.
That's
Y'all that,
right.
you know, have uplifted me since I've been home. Y'all who, you know, have the wisdom to offer me, that I may offer it to somebody else. So to the chat, man, with this being said, because I missed this earlier, to the brothers and sisters that are still languishing in the prisons, within the federal system, in other countries, you dig what I'm saying, man, that may
Right.
understand the English language, man. I salute you, man. Continue to pray to the Most High, man, because through him, all things are possible.
Impossible.
Continue to go to that law library and enjoy what they have in those books. You dig? Because they said, you know, the saying is that if you want to hide something from, you know, I don't just believe it's blacks. I believe it's
Anything
lazy
ignorant.
individuals. Yeah, you dig? Put it in a book because they're afraid to pick it up. You dig? So with that being said, man, I salute y'all, man. To everybody, man, that came to the chat, man. Go out, man, with the likes, man. Hit the like button, man. Subscribe, man. You know, share with other individuals, man. And anytime that you visit Vertical Chalk, man, come, you know, come ready to shoot them darts, man. Word up, man. Put them comments in, man, so we can, you know, so we can
That's right.
shoot back, man. You know, help me understand life better, man. You know, at this point and stage of my life. You dig? With that being said, man, I salute you, Nick. I
Yeah, I
salute you, know
appreciate
what I'm saying?
it.
You big dice, man. You dig, for coming through. You know what I mean? And offering me on your platform, man. Yo, man, let's
Oh, it ain't
politic
nothing. It's
ditto.
time to eradicate the foolishness on YouTube, bro.
Yeah,
Grown
man, you
folks
dig?
conversation.
If we can, but at least if we can't, let's grab those that got like minds, that come from
Got
our
a point
ilk,
there
man,
too.
that
That's
come
a
from our
fact.
cut of cloth. You heard? And
That's a fact.
let's bond with them and unite with them and form that solidarity, man. Until
That's
the
right.
next time, man. This is FB, man, coming at
Bro,
you vertically, man. You know, straight up and down, man. That's
Salute,
what you
son.
get, man. Blessings, guidance, and protection. You heard? One
bro.
love.
Ask me if I give a fuck about it, please. Ask me if I give a fuck about it, yeah.
Yeah, famo.